And we are back, and we are live.
Back and live?
We're not actually live. We're live. You guys aren't live with us, but welcome back to JKMoto Podcast, a motorcycle-related podcast, your one-stop shop for all your moto podcast and other content-related items. Brought to you today and always by Working Class Customs, custom fabrication shop out of Northern Utah. That's all I got.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good. How
Merry,
you doing
Merry,
today?
Merry Christmas. Sorry, I'm doing all right. Not a bad look. I got my. It's Christmas. I can see you're all decorated up with the exact same decorations you always have.
I was telling the wife we ought to think about putting up a tree. I'm thinking maybe next Friday, Saturday. When's Christmas?
Well, this will come out Wednesday. So I hope you mean this Friday, Saturday, because Monday will be Christmas.
Nah, I'm just bluffing. I ain't putting up a tree.
There's trees in the yard, you know.
Yeah, I got things to do.
All right, well, should we oh, well, you know what? We always do this. We always like start and don't tell anyone what to stick around for.
We got some Moto America news.
Yeah. Moto GP news? I think. Not really. I've been seeing a bunch of stuff, so just rumors on that side. But a little bit to talk about there, I think. And then
I just returned today. It's Monday. We're recording this on Monday. I just returned from CVMA round 3.
Chuck Walla Valley Motorcycle Racing Association. I don't know if racing is actually in their name, but anyway.
No.
Yeah, the tippity top of the top best racers in the nation, it being the United States of America, where everyone gathers for a winter of nothing but two-wheel racing. One of us, JKMotoers, went over there and to check it out, see what it's all about, and we'll get a report on that. So that'll be fun. Because I get to learn about it too. You know, I've heard all these great things. So
perfect. Let's roll the intro.
All right.
Yesterday at one point, I was in sick.
And we're back.
We're back. Sorry, I'm bringing up some articles real quick so we can only spread facts. Only facts. Home road racing news.
So while you're looking at that, that was the last time. That little clap we did. That's the last time I'm gonna be able to do that with an unmodified appendage.
What do you mean?
Wednesday, the day this podcast comes out, I'll be in there getting my second shoulder surgery.
So you're saying you went down to California, raced, and then decided you needed an excuse in case you didn't do too well to not come back? And
no, well, maybe I was getting some pressure from our friend over there to come back another round, and I would love to get back there another round, at least one more. It's kind of an expensive trip from here. I don't know. That might be interesting to the viewers, but that weekend, 4 days, I'm about $4,500 into it.
$4,500 for break that down. What are we talking?
We're talking.
I mean, this is good, right? To go from Utah to San Diego, California ish.
So, yeah,
for a weekend of racing.
Yeah, a lot of talking on the way home about how to cut those prices, and there's definitely ways to do that. But I'm about $1,200 in tires.
Okay, that seems like a low amount.
What?
That seems low. You keep saying that. I mean, we talked a little bit before this. You said that number, but $1,200 in tires is only if you're over $500 a set. That's 2 sets of tires.
No, because they're $280 a pop for a rear.
Okay.
And I did 4 rears.
Okay.
And 1 front.
So only 1 per day.
Yes, but I was also flipping them between rounds.
Okay. Is that 4 new ones or 4 total?
4 new ones. plus the one that was slightly used that was on it when I arrived.
Okay, so a little bit more than $1,200 then. Okay, that was my question. You spent $1,200 on tires while you were there, not
Yeah.
necessarily only used $1,200 worth of tires.
Yeah. Not taking into account the ones that I brought in the trailer.
Right. So, all right, cool. So tires, tires for a race weekend, which I think everyone knows as a pretty good expense.
Yeah. So for me to get down there, the things that I signed up for, which well, that I want to talk about,
Mhm.
but we'll get to that later. The things that I sign up for required me to be there about 6:30 a.m. on Thursday. It's a 10.5 hour drive for me. So we drove about 9.5 hours of that Wednesday night after work. Got me a Holiday Inn. There was a cost. And then staying at CVMA or at Chuckwalla Valley Raceway, it's 30 minutes to the closest gas station.
Okay.
It's 50 minutes to an hour to the closest hotel.
Mhm.
Case in point, anybody planning on going out there, your best budget bet is to camp at the track, stay at the track, which most people do, of course. I didn't want to pull down the toy hauler or anything, so your next option is they have cabins on site,
Right.
and I'm going to give a super shout out to the Chuckwalla Valley Raceway cabins. If you're going there and you want to spend a little bit of money, more so than sleeping in the parking lot, I didn't know what to expect going in, but they're like these. They call them cabins, but they're like these tiny homes. You got full size fridge, nice bathroom. You can put up to 4 people in one. They have a
Okay.
separate
All right.
bedroom with like a pull out couch, TV, whatever. Very nice. Very nice.
How much are those?
The cabins are about $200.
200 a night.
200 a night.
That's not too bad when you think about it.
No, you can split it between 4 people, or if it's 4 guys going, you got wives, 2 couples, whatever. But it's not too bad. They were really nice. And I know that everybody brags about it's a winter series, so the weather's great, right?
Desert.
Dude, the days it got up to, 71, 72 was beautiful. It was perfect. It was almost hot, right? Feeling
Mhm.
for me coming from where I'm at.
Yeah.
But the day I swear lasted 2 hours and then it was dark again. I mean,
Which
the
is
days
strange for
just
being so far south.
yeah, the days seemed so short. And as soon as that sun started going down, it just got nippy, and it was high 30s, low 40s overnight. And
Yeah.
so keep that in mind. If you are sleeping in the parking lot, you're not gonna want to dress warm.
Definitely need a decent sleeping bag or a big blanket or something. Just use your tire warmers. I hear that's really smart.
Yeah, that was actually tried. I seen that tried actually this weekend. So
Okay.
uh, there was, there's some people with some heated blankets, and they were joking about starting the tire warmers and wrapping themselves in them.
Okay.
So back to cost.
Yep.
So I had the cost for Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. So 3 nights at $200.
Hmm.
And then I left Sunday night after the racing ended and made my way all the way back to Mesquite to get as much of the drive done as I could keep my eyes open for. Got me another Holiday Inn. So there's you another night. You got the fuel cost to get down there, of course. And then entry fees. I guess we're going right into the CVMA.
Yeah.
Should we
Yeah.
speak
We
on
can start with.
CVMA or should we come back?
Oh, we can start with CVMA. Might as well.
I learned some things on that note. A couple things I definitely want to shout out about CVMA and how they do things different than what I've become accustomed to or what I've seen.
Hmm.
And a lot of these things we've talked about before, and I knew them, but I hadn't experienced them firsthand. So I have some opinions after experiencing them. First thing, USBA, where I race, my home track, my club, if you will.
All right.
The USBA charges it's $300 for the day for a race day.
Right. And you're allowed to as many races as you want.
As many races as your bike qualifies for, or your second bike, or you. I mean, you can literally race 14 races in a day if you choose.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
If you had a bike for every class, you could race every single class.
Yep, for $300, and it's just one set rate. CVMA does it different. CVMA has a general entry price,
Mm-hmm.
and then you pay per race. So you go ahead and pick which races you're going to race, choose them. I found for me, and I'm sure it's different with every situation, and I've got some good examples, I guess, of that. But for my situation, the price was about sixes
Okay.
for the amount of races that I signed up. It ended up being about the same price for me. But, talking to
As
people,
a weekend at USBA, right?
yes.
Okay.
So, although they're both doing it completely different, price was the same for me. But what I did find is the grids at USBA, you never know who's going to show up, because since you can sign up for every race, you sign up for every race just in case you might decide you want to do it. And
Yeah.
then if you're tired from the last round, you just skip that one. And so the grids are sloppy. Let's put it that way. The grids tend to be a little sloppy at USBA because, maybe you're gridded 15th and there's 25 bikes in the grid. And when you get out there, there's only 6 guys
Right.
and gals, right?
Yeah.
For,
Yeah.
for different. And sometimes that's not the case, but just overall sloppy. I found that the CVMA, or at CVMA, if there was going to be 10 bikes there was going to be at least 9. Everybody was showing up unless there was a mechanical or a crash in an earlier round, those kind of things.
Right.
Um,
There's some actual buy-in for each individual round rather than just for the day.
yep.
Makes sense.
And everybody didn't go home half day because they were tired on Sunday. If you had a race, you had to stay around.
So that talking that aspect, is that a pro or a con?
I believe it's a pro from the aspect of knowing what you're expecting when you pull up to the grid, how
Mm.
many bikes are there, making sure people only are signing up for what they want to race. So the race direction, the guys making the grids, all the people involved, they know what to expect. If 10 people signed up, they can expect 10 people to show up.
Right.
I mean, I haven't been behind the curtain on either side, but that's got to be a pain for USBA when nobody shows up.
Yeah.
And then if you're an analytical guy like you and you want to start, running some Excel spreadsheets, figuring out where you're making your money, what's popular with the racers, from a data standpoint, how are you keeping track of that? Like, is novice GTO a popular class? Because they have 40 people sign up every week, but are they keeping track that only 2 people actually hit the grid?
Well, I mean, I don't know if anyone's actually keeping track of any of that, but you would still get. I mean, you have the transponder. You're still totaling points for everything, right? You're still putting out who won and all that. So you still definitely have all of that information available. But how much does that actually change? Like, are you more willing to race something because, well, I signed up for it, might as well go race it? Vice, I got to pay if I want to do that. Is it worth my time? Is it
That's
worth my
true.
money?
That's true. That'd be a double edged. I mean, you might, exactly like you're saying, if I can reiterate,
It,
some people might race more than they would have otherwise.
right.
But, some of the people listening will know who I'm talking about. But uh, it was told to me, say a person wants to race one race. They want to come up to Utah and race one race. It costs $300.
Right.
Is that worth it for one race? Where at CVMA, if they just want to show up and race a race, they can just pay for the one they want and then go home when they're done.
Yeah.
So just different, everybody's in different situations. So my opinion is overall the pay per race makes more sense.
Okay. I think from what you're describing anyway, and I have, limited experience on that, but I think I agree with you. I think that is better. I think when you make someone pay for something, the more you can break it down, the more you can tell, one, like you said, kind of being able to analyze who actually wants to be on this. Because if you have two people sign up for a race, then we can probably just cut that out next year. Every single round, we have maximum 3 and as low as one guy. He automatically wins. It's just him getting track time. Like, cut that class out. Not saying that's happening or not, but if it
Right.
happened. And then also, I think, I mean, exactly that point right there. Maybe you can't do Saturday morning. Maybe you got something going on, you know? A lot of people have families. A lot of people have jobs. A lot of people have whatever else might be going on. Maybe you got something going on a Saturday morning, but you want to race that race in the afternoon. Now you can do that, and you're not spending $300 for one race. So
That's a huge difference. But the number one thing that I was excited for, and I hope that USBA will take note, because it's been said before in meetings, and all club organizations around the world should take note. We've heard this before. We've talked to people about this before. But for the love of God, after seeing it firsthand, qualifying for every class.
yeah,
It was so simple. I mean, I didn't know. I feel for USBA, and obviously, I'm going to talk a lot about these two clubs because that's what I'm familiar with.
right.
But
Yep.
and I know there's people listening in New Jersey that don't give a crap about either one of them, but here we are.
Yeah,
So
everyone I think in the US can and should care a little bit about CVMA.
agreed. But USBA only qualifies for their top tier classes. They're King of the Mountain GTO, King of the Mountain GTU.
Right.
That's the So that's your big boy thousands and your middleweights, for
Mm-hmm.
those that don't know. For those two classes, they do qualifying, but everybody else just gets a couple warm-ups, and you're literally gridded on first your points and second your order of entry. So when you registered, that's how that grid is set. Fine, is what it is, I thought. But now after experiencing CVMA, we keep hearing CVMA say, people from there, they're always, we qualify for everything. We qualify for everything. And you hear the argument that it's too much work and it's too much work. Let me break this down for you. It's so simple. They start in the morning
Mm-hmm.
tech's done on Friday night. The night before, the bulk of the tech is done. Tech is still open for people showing up on Saturday, but the bulk of the tech is done. Quite early in the morning, they start 10-minute qualifying. They
Okay.
have an order of 6 classes that they break it down into. So there's 6 classes that each get 10 minutes. So it just starts at like 8 a.m. and it's 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. Guy runs out, you do 2 or 3 laps, get back off the track, the next group's out,
Mm-hmm.
and then it starts over again. And so it's 2 hours for that.
Okay.
It takes 2 hours it takes at least 2 hours to get through all the warm-ups in the morning at
Mm-hmm.
USBA, and they're just not keeping track of times for it, really,
Right.
for anybody but those classes.
Right.
But at CVMA, they send them out. Everybody goes. You come back to the pit. You see what your time was. Your grid is immediately updated. It's showing you where you are. And hey, I need 2 more seconds to get to this spot on the grid. I got to go find more time. I got to, it's cold in the morning, so maybe that next session is going to be better, all these things. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, the drama, the experience for the racer
Starts immediately.
starts immediately. It adds a whole nother level of complexity is the wrong word. It's a whole nother level of, it's a service to the racers. That's part of the fun, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
Well,
it was
it's almost
awesome.
it's almost another race,
Right.
right? Like
And
if you look at MotoGP, for instance, not to take it to that, but the probably the number one most watched motorcycle racing in the world,
right.
easily. People watch qualifying sessions. They're almost as important, often more dramatic.
Yeah.
Like those
In their
matter.
own way.
So it makes sense that even on a club racing level, that would still matter because your start position definitely matters. I think you can probably attest to that, having even with
Absolutely.
your one season of experience. So
Absolutely. But yeah, that part of it was great. Kudos to them for the qualifying, the efficiency in which they did it. But
I have a quick question on that because as everyone should know, but if you don't, this is me. I don't race yet due to many different reasons. You call them excuses, call them whatever, but I don't. So my track motorcycle experience is limited to track days, and as you know, you go to a track day, you have your track meeting, whatever rider meeting in the morning, and they're always talking about, hey, when the checker's out, don't run the checker. It's like almost every track day even if we've been there, third day in a row, they're still going to say it in case someone new is there. Don't run the checkered flag. We got 20-minute sessions. Do your 20 minutes and come off the track when you see a checkered. If you thought you saw a checkered, just come off the track. We'll let you back out if you haven't. So I'm kind of curious, if you're running 6 sessions at 10 minutes a session, is there an issue with that, or is everyone actually, because it's racing, people have a little bit more buy-in, a little bit more respect, kind of?
Two interesting points that brings up. One, at CVMA, once the race day starts, doesn't matter if it's qualifying or racing, the checkered flag is only at the start finish line. There are no more
Okay.
checkered flags on the field. So
Mm-hmm.
I thought that might be bad, because what if you miss it? Right? Because on a track day, you got multiple checkered flags going generally, and you see one of them, you stop.
Right.
I can attest that there were some runners, wasn't me, in the qualifying. There was a couple runners, which, for those that don't know, that's somebody that doesn't see the checkered flag and goes and steals another lap.
Yeah, which on a track day, it is stealing another lap. So it does get a little. If one guy keeps doing it, you're kind of like, well, hey, we're all paying for the same amount of track time, and you're out here getting an extra lap every session. So
Right. But I quickly found out also that just knowing that that's the only place the checker was going to be was actually easier to pay attention. Just always look right there.
that makes sense. Okay.
Just, you knew where it was going to be. You didn't have to worry, did I miss one back in the back? Just watch it when you came down the straight. So that was good. Another thing you brought up that I found interesting is, me and you both have been to 50 million different driver meetings.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting to see different tracks, how they handle it. CVMA did something that I've seen a couple different track orgs do now, but they called out some random names and made you raise your hand, just like a spot check to see if you were really at the driver's meeting, because they weren't going to roll call everybody, but
Right.
it is a requirement that you're supposed to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So they did that, but the CVMA, I felt like they treated you like an adult, or with more respect, from the aspect, we didn't go over any flags.
You're a racer. You're expected to know these things.
You're a racer, you should know it. So they basically it was more of like, their rider meeting was more of like current events, like, hey, we had somebody do this yesterday, let's not do that, watch for this.
Goose poop in turn 6.
Yep. Have a great day, be safe, right?
Yeah.
You're all professionals. Do your thing. You got a license for a reason. We don't need to tell you that a checkered flag is a checkered flag. And I
It's
appreciated that.
refreshing. Yeah, that sounds refreshing. I've never been to again, I don't race, but after going to 50 million, as you quoted, I might throw a billion on there, uh, writers meetings. It feels like they're all the exact same thing. And it feels like every time you show up, you're being treated like a little kid. And it's just like, don't do this, don't do that. And you've always got the 10-cent adders in the audience. They're like, can we remind everyone that your tires will be cold because it's morning and it's 65 degrees out here? And
Right.
anyway, it gets a little old. That
And
does
I do
sound
think I
refreshing.
do think a track day is a different situation,
Oh, I
because
agree.
you've got a lot of first time riders and everything.
Yeah, I
Same
mean,
as
I agree that 100% a track day riders meeting, you got people that never done it before. You got all these different things. I'm not saying it doesn't need to be that. Just saying it can get old, and I can't imagine being a licensed racer and still having to go through all that every single time.
Yeah.
Especially like, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway,
So the most important part, though, the most important part of the rider meeting that I want to point out, every one of their rider meetings
Mhm.
ends with the national anthem played over the loudspeaker. The rider gear tent has a big American flag
Okay. All right.
that you can look at, and I appreciated it. Thank you, CVMA. I appreciated that. I thought that was great.
That's good.
USBA should pick that one up.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
it's a good tradition.
Yeah, I mean it's America. It's a sport tradition in general in
Yeah, it made
America.
it.
You go like high school football, softball, basketball, all of them, everything.
Yeah.
That's what goes down. So
I thought it added a lot to make it like an event. So by the time just to point out, this meeting is held after all the qualifying.
okay,
So you're there, you haven't talked to anybody, you just know that at 8 o'clock I'm taking the track for qualifying. The dust is settled, all that stuff's good, and then the rider meeting happens, and then the national anthem kicks off the actual racing.
that is cool. I mean, that definitely makes it more like if I was going as a spectator,
Mm-hmm.
that makes it more of an event, like you said, a day, not just oh, there's some dudes out here riding motorcycles. What's going on? That kind of at least gives you a start of like this is it. So that's cool. That's good.
So that part was awesome. So for me, I want to give a shout out to Dell, who is Racer's Edge. He's the Dunlop supplier out in the
Okay.
West. Funny thing, every time I buy a Dunlop from Revzilla and have it shipped to me, or not from Revzilla, from Sport Bike Track Gear or Revzilla, anybody, it always comes from Racer's Edge out of Las Vegas. Anthony turned me on to signing up. In an earlier podcast we talked about it, but he pointed out that I should sign up for the Racer's Edge training on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
I would highly recommend that to anybody going out there for their first time. I think it was great. I mean, if nothing else, it's another track day.
Yeah.
Good time on track, but they have two different options. You can sign up for one-on-one coaching, or you can
Okay.
sign up just for a track day. I mean, it's just a track day. They run two classes. They run two groups, one with the one-on-one training and one group with you're just a free track day basically.
Mm-hmm.
They're 30-minute sessions, which
Okay.
is because there's only two groups,
Right.
which is super nice because 30 minutes you don't have to worry about getting there right when it starts. You can feel better about just pulling off when you're tired. I like that. Just go do what you're trying to accomplish and then get back off.
Okay. So I know we've done. Man, I feel like we've done just about everything now. 30-minute, 20-minute, 15-minute, and then an open track day. We had the open track day in Arizona, which I think we found ourselves both just kind of doing 15 minutes
Right.
on those open on that open day. So you prefer the more time?
I prefer the more time. Well, there was only two groups. I mean, if it would have been four groups, let's say at 30 minutes a session, so you're only on the track every other hour,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have liked that. Then I would have not liked it. But the fact that there was two groups making it possible to be 30-minute sessions, that was nice to.
Yeah. Okay. Because I guess even if you cut it short, and you're only doing 20 minutes, you're still getting the same amount that you would on a normal track day.
Yep.
'Cause you're still going out once every hour, so you get more time that way. Okay.
So I signed up for the one-on-one riding. I had a rider coach. Shout out Stu.
Stu.
Stu. He's good. Good. Learned some good things from him. I forgot to tell him while I was at the track. He was actually on a Ducati Street Fighter,
Okay.
and you do a lot of lead follows.
Yeah.
And I forgot to tell him. Somebody listening to this, let him know that I said he needs a bike with a bigger fender, because every time I get close, he was pinging me pretty bad.
Just the rubber coming
Yeah.
off. Oh man, that's good. That's funny.
So one-on-one
Does a Street
coaching.
Fighter? Sorry, just to touch on that. He didn't have like the stupid fender that comes
I
back
had
over
they
the.
had one on there. It just didn't do nothing.
Did it come back on the back of the tire though? Like not off the top of the swing arm, but around,
Yeah, I think so. I never
kind of
looked
like
that close, but I think it
your
was the one that came
Husqvarna.
around.
Yeah. So all the rubber does have a chance to go straight up
Yep.
because that's not going to stop anything when it's underneath the. If you take the angular, anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's not go down that road. That's not important. I appreciated the way they did it because, again, I want to shout out anybody who wants to look that up. Racer's Edge, Las Vegas. You can put a link to it.
Mm-hmm.
They do multiple ones throughout the year. Usually linked with a CVMA weekend. And actually they did one on Wednesday and Thursday.
Wow. Okay.
Couple things about it. That I'm not very good at taking criticism from most
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
That's something I struggle with, and it's something that you gotta you got to be able to take to get better. I get it. I'm not, but it was very. They did a good job in the way that basically, like, I'm just gonna be out there on track. I'm gonna follow you for a couple laps. Maybe follow me for a couple laps. If I see you again, I'll come up. If you need something, let me know. There wasn't a lot of pressure. And then he would follow up after every round. He'd come up and say, "Where are you hurting? How can I help? If you identified corners you're struggling with, let's talk through them." Wasn't It was really casual. Let's just
So
talk through
rather,
this, and then
yeah, sorry, not trying to interrupt necessarily, but rather than coming up and saying, "Hey, you need to work on this. You need to work on this. I noticed this." It's coming up and be like, "I noticed everything. What do you want to talk about?"
yeah, yeah,
Right? And I assume he didn't come up and be like, "Don't worry, you're making plenty of mistakes. I noticed all of them." But
yeah,
he's behind you, watching you. So wherever you want to focus, that sounds refreshing. That sounds nice. I could because
yeah,
depending on who you are, some people take criticism really well, some people don't, right? I mean, you show up and you think you're doing great, or maybe you don't think you're doing great, but you know it already. You don't need someone else to tell you that. No, I know I'm slow. That's fine, right? Or what are you talking about? That was the freaking fastest thing I've ever done in my life, right? Anyway,
yeah. Everybody learns a little different, and I'm a bit stubborn, but it's not so much that I love criticism. That's fine, but I don't necessarily react well to corner 3. You need to do this, this, and this. I'm going to be watching you. Corner 4, you need to do this, this, and this, and I'm going to be watching you. Corner 5, I'm like, at some point, I just need to maybe pick one thing to work on, and
yeah, it's
this
too
is how
much
I
all at
feel.
once.
Yeah. So I know you can see all the problems. I know I'm far from perfect, but things click. You start putting things together, and I'm the guy that just needs one thing in front of me, knock it out.
Yeah. So I don't know if you had a chance to notice any of the other instructors. I mean, you said you had Stu, right? Sounds like Stu was awesome. Sounds like he probably helped you out quite a bit. But did you pay attention, or were you able to catch like anyone else, any of the other instructors? Are they all kind of that same way, or is that tailored to Stu only?
No, it felt that way. It felt that way for all of them. I think
Okay.
it was similar. So there was a time which was also funny feeling, but uh, I came in. I came in after one of the sessions, and Stu came over and said, "Hey, whenever you're ready, let's go sit in the classroom. We got some video of you." And I said, "Okay." And it turned out Dale Dale's out there on a bike running around. He's finding the people that they're coaching, and he's jumping on their rear tire. 3-time #1 plate holder at CVMA. He knows what he's doing out there.
Mm-hmm.
So he's just jumping on your rear tire and filming from a GoPro or something on his bike. And at least for me, I had no idea. I had no idea what lap he had filmed me on, but he filmed me for an entire lap. And then I got yanked in the classroom, sat down in front of a screen, and told bluntly that you suck right here. You did good right there. It was delivered in a way that was meaningful to me and made a lot of sense. And it was easier to go back out on the track after visually. There was no argument. You
Yeah.
felt pretty naked. You felt pretty naked because
It's
it's
right
not
there in
like you
front of
can
you.
just sit in the pits and tell your boys, "Oh yeah, man, I was dragging knee in this corner, and then I did this in that corner, and that's what caused this in that corner." Nah, it was a we can stop it. We can back it up 10 seconds. Let's watch you go through that same thing 4 times.
You see
The
your
apex is 8 feet away from you, right?
you see your brake finger right there? Yeah, watch. There it is. That's
Yeah.
funny.
So definitely that was definitely beneficial.
Okay.
But one of the most important things, and what I had heard the most about from people telling me to go do it, is Dale is famous for his track walks.
Mhm.
I gotta say, and we can get into this some more. This is kind of sidetracking, but everybody always says that the best of the best are at CVMA
Mhm.
in the winter. It's the off season for the Moto America boys. You know, there's teams testing. There's
Off
all these
season
kind of
for
things. Right?
MotoGP, Moto 2.
here I am. Since I paid for the one-on-one training, I was told to jump on the golf cart with Dale. There was like 4 or 5 other guys who were signed up for that.
Mm-hmm.
You jump on this golf cart, and it's got a seat that faces backwards, right? So I run up there and I jump on the seat, and there's a guy already sitting there. I jump on the seat and I turn. It's Josh Hayes, the most winningest,
Mm-hmm.
Moto America rider of all time.
Yep.
I mean, I think
Yep.
he took that record last year.
Let's see. Let me pull up so we're not just maybe our listeners down in Australia, over in Germany. Hello, thanks for being here. I just want to pull up some info so we're not just spitting stuff out for no reason. Josh Hayes, 48 years old. Squid Hunter Racing and Josh Hayes will compete in the full 2023. Squid Hunter Racing. That's funny. Wow. I mean, there's just a lot of info on him. Sorry. This is just his Wikipedia. I don't know if you want me to read this whole thing.
Hit it.
Professional motorcycle road racer. He started his road racing career at age 19, made a quick ascension up through the ranks where he won his first 3 WERA titles in 1994. That's also WERA is, I don't know, Southeast mostly, Eastern United States in general.
Yep. Yeah,
Another club racing circuit series in America. Numerous others in the following 4 years. He turned pro in 1996, also raced in MotoGP. Riding Suzuki Gixxer motorcycles, Hayes won the 1999 750 Supersport race at Daytona, finished third in Formula Extreme class for the season. He won the 2003 AMA 750 Superstock Championship, riding an attack Suzuki Gixxer 750. 06-07 AMA Formula Extreme Championships on an Urian Honda CBR 600, and 4 AMA Superbike Championships on a YZF R1, 2010, 11, 12, and 14. So, yeah. Pretty good record.
Pretty good record, and still racing at 48 years old.
Yep.
Still racing. Won a race, at least one race last year in the super sport class.
Yeah, that's good. We need people to continue racing. Need new people to race. Also, need everyone to race.
But anyway, name drop, right? Moral of the story: I jump on and I look over, and there's Josh Hayes, and he says, "Hi, what? Who are you or whatever?" And I said, "I'm Cole," and he says, "I'm Josh," and I said, "I know."
Yeah, come on. You didn't say, hey, I'm Cole Burmester, JKMoto podcast. Don't you listen?
No, I didn't.
Oh, man. Bummer.
So, very nice guy. But directly after that, Josh Heron jumps on the other side of the golf cart.
Yeah, Josh Heron also. I can pull up his Wikipedia if the people want that also. But anyway, another Moto America racer.
Another Moto America racer.
Very well-known guy out here.
Factory Ducati. Well, sorry, I shouldn't say factory. New York, the Superbike Ducati team.
Yeah, Warhorse. Yep. Yeah.
Warhorse.
I mean, for Moto America, that's the factory, if you will.
Yeah. Pinnacle. It's Pinnacle. Yeah. But he was out there training a little young up and comer. So he was there just to get all this out of the way, just so we don't have to keep bringing it up. Corey Alexander was there.
Okay, before we start, this is it. This is what you've been waiting for. We talked about where does everyone go in the winter? What is CVMA? Here you go. Okay.
Corey Alexander was there. Andrew Lee was there. I was passed on track on Thursday on that day while I was doing one-on-one coaching. There was a couple guys passed by, and I remember thinking in the helmet, gosh, I got to keep going. These guys are so fast, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some of these guys are so fast, and I'm trying to watch their lines and thinking, how are they carrying so much speed? And as I'm thinking that, this black bullet, this bike comes flying past me so fast, flies into this big sweeping right-hand turn, passes both those bikes I was just Googling over in the same corner, gets all three of us in the same corner, like we were standing still. And the only thing I noticed is the bike was black and the helmet was a Joe Roberts replica helmet. And when I came off the track, I went back to the pits and I was like, man, I don't know who it is, but there's this dude out there in a Joe Roberts replica helmet that is so fast. And they were like, that's Joe Roberts, you goofball.
Oh man.
So Joe Roberts, Moto 2 racer over in Europe.
Yep. Been there for a little bit. American. Point out.
Fast.
One of the few.
I've got him on camera passing me. And I've
All
also
right.
got, somebody I know that's really, really fast. Had the same story in the pits. He was like, "Man, I just got passed by Joe Roberts. It was nothing." I mean, he was moving. He was moving. So
So that was on Thursday. Was Joe Roberts there all weekend that you know of? Or
I
like how many
only
of these guys were actually racing, I guess is the bigger question there.
so Corey Alexander did. Andrew Lee. Uh, there's more. Just
Okay.
pretty much a scatter shot of all of Moto America is out
Yeah.
there. But Josh Heron, like I said, he was there training, and then he was out, I think, after that day.
Is there any like rule at CVMA against certain people racing CVMA?
Not that I know of. Um,
Interesting. Okay.
Correct us if we're wrong in the comments, but I don't believe that there is because, for example, Corey Alexander won the shootout.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. You know, you mentioned Josh Heron was doing training, and I know that there's money on the table for at CVMA,
Mm-hmm.
which is cool. That's awesome for club racing. A decent amount of money from what I think we learned a couple weeks ago or whenever. Which is great. That takes club racing kind of up a notch. But if you've got a paid professional racer that kind of has a team behind them coming in, you know, what rules are there? What rules are there, comma, there to keep that fair? Question mark. Do there need to be? Does anyone want that? Is that, I think it's a good topic of discussion for our CVMA people. So if you're listening, let us know. Just kind of
Yeah,
curious what the thought is.
I'd like to know the answer to that too, because the thought crossed my mind more than once over the weekend. Is where do you draw the line? Should you draw the line?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know. I didn't hear any.
Interesting.
I sure didn't hear anybody crying about it.
Which
To
makes
be fair,
sense. I mean, yeah, it would just be kind of. I understand that Josh Heron's not going to show up with his warhorse Ducati.
allegedly, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe Josh Heron was the wrong example there. Anyway, no, he doesn't cheat, but there are because it like for instance in MotoGP, you'll see on weeks that they have off or in the winter, you'll see like I'm sure Mark Marquez has a Ducati
Yeah.
V4R at his disposal now, right? Alex Rins was always out on a Suzuki and then went out on the new CBR because they're not allowed to ride the MotoGP bikes outside of an official MotoGP session. So I would imagine the Moto America has that same rule, but as far as competing in races, I wonder if that's less run by CVMA and more run by the teams in Moto America. Anyway, I'm just rambling at this point. So someone that has an answer on that, let us know. Come join us on the podcast. We'd love to have you.
And kind of the point I'm trying to make is not necessarily, like I said, not trying to name drop, just to try to paint the contrast. At a USBA weekend, every once in a while there'll be a big name there
Mm-hmm.
that maybe not even racing. A lot of time, maybe it's training. They'll be coaching somebody or something like that. Every once in a while, you'll get a name. And it if you search around on YouTube enough, you can definitely find times that all those guys have been to USBA at private track days or private sessions, things like that.
You've been to UMC, not
Uh,
necessarily USBA.
yes, correct. Jason Pridmore's out there at that place. Also very talented, very long, illustrious career
Yeah,
racing.
yeah.
Um,
Heard that name.
he's out there. I mean, there, and it's just normal. But little side note, Zach, is it Zach from Revzilla?
I
The
don't
guy
know.
that anyway, the Revzilla boys were out there racing a scooter, for example. They had a giant film crew out there, or I say a giant film crew. They had a guy full time filming them,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm sure there's a video coming out. Not to let that cat out of the bag, but we all know we were all there, right? But just a lot going on. There's just stuff going on everywhere. Big deal, big full grids. 200 racers out there, roughly. It was just shy of that, which is
Yeah. So how is it for? I mean, it might be hard for you to say, but if I came down and I wasn't racing, is that worth coming out to just to hang out? Or maybe I just want to do the track day and I don't want to race.
I absolutely think so. CVMA has, or Chuckwalla rather, they have 2 sets of bleachers out there that you can view. It costs $20 a person to get in at the gate.
Okay. Yeah, it's a little much.
Yeah,
I don't personally think that's too much, but that's not a cheap ticket for club
it's
racing.
it's California. It's less than a gallon of gas.
That's fair. That's fair.
I don't know. The atmosphere out there is great. I can see why so many people are into it. Uh, don't say anything bad about it because I think they're all kind of a gang.
Like
Here's
they're
my
well, they
my
can be because the one argument. Let me say something bad real quick. They can be a gang, and my one argument, our friend Lugnut over here saying his group of guys down at CVMA, he'd put them up against anyone, anywhere in the nation, any other series, club, whatever you want to call it. You tell them, they'll figure it out. They'll come show up. They'll show down. Which I think that offer still stands. Back me up, Lugnut, in the comments. But you know they can because no one else races in the winter, and they don't race in the summer, so they can go wherever they want in the summer because they're busy racing in the winter. Like
That's
that, I
true.
think I want to know if it is purely. It can't be purely, but if it is heavily because of it being the only spot in America to race in the winter.
I think that's definitely got a huge part to it. I mean, it's not convenient. It's not close to anything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's the reason they're there. It is the only place that's still operating. The only place that's still warm enough.
Yeah. Besides, I
But
mean, Arizona should be, but I don't know.
I still think. Well, I don't know. I don't know. They're just building this little mech out there, man. Everybody's hearing about it. Everybody's getting into it. Everybody's going, and the quality of rider out there. I mean, they're feeding off of each other, and they've been
Right.
feeding off of each other for years. And the times, I mean, everybody you talk to out there, the times have been just steadily dropping. I raced the in amateur,
Mm-hmm.
and the amateur group. I mean, they're ridiculous. We were talking before the podcast. If you look at the amateur group, the top 5, 6, 7, 8 in the amateur group would be about mid pack in the expert group.
Yeah.
It's crazy. There's nobody slow.
Yeah. Well, and I can say, obviously I follow quite a few motorcycle people, but on a CVMA weekend, like I noticed all over my Instagram, it's everybody. That's how I knew Joe Roberts was there, right? I asked you about that because I was like, I saw it from Joe Roberts' Instagram. I saw it. Haven't, glad to be back in the States or whatever his post was, and it's Chuckwalla Valley Raceway. I was like, whoa, okay, interesting. So everyone knows about it. Everyone does it. If you don't know about it, go check it out. You should definitely head down there, go support if you're anywhere near the area. And if you're not near the area, but you're able to travel in the winter, want to get some racing in, and or maybe want to go show up to CVMA guys, see if you can hang. Great place to go test that out. So, and then I think that was my final question for you for the weekend before we, unless you had anything else big, before we hop over into some quick news, was like you kind of already answered that, but is it true? Compared to USBA, compared to the other, we've been across the country and back. Haven't been northeast yet, but we've been northwest, southwest, southeast, and Utah. Compared to all the different groups of people, does it stand true in your head?
I wouldn't bet against them if they start the street outlaws.
The
That I
new
was.
the new drama TV show that we're gonna start where
Yeah,
CVMA takes on the world or whatever.
yeah. If uh, that's where I would put my money. I mean, I don't know. I guess maybe I didn't pay enough attention to the tail end. Maybe I'll go through some times later or whatever, but it just felt like there was nobody slow. I feel like I'm to the point where I can jump on a lot of grids and I'll beat some dudes because there's going to be some people just starting out or people that are just not that fast for whatever reason.
Yeah.
There wasn't anybody, man. I'd fight for everything.
Yeah, that's the way it should be. So,
I mean, that is the way it should be, but I wonder where I mean, it keeps growing. So, I mean, the people are jumping in there and getting up to speed in a hurry.
yeah.
But it's like most environments. I mean, keep bringing up Lugnut, but he always says it's a family.
Hmm.
I got that family vibe. I didn't expect anything different. I mean, the USBA has a family vibe. Every track we've went to, it's their own little cliques. What I mentioned earlier about the gang thing, I found myself, I don't want to keep sounding like I'm taking any hits at USBA either, but those guys out there, when you hear them talk, there's a lot of ownership. That's our track, our club. We're racing this weekend.
Yeah.
It's not, none of them would say, like, I'm going to this CVMA event. They're putting it on in their mind. I
Yeah.
mean,
They are a CVMA. It's not an
they
event that
are
they're going
CVMA.
to. They are it. Got it. Got it. Interesting. Well, the CVMA and the track day org Apex Assassins. Maybe don't mess with them. I don't know. Not sure what they mean by that name. I'm assuming that just means that they kill every corner that they come to. But whatever.
I
Uh,
heard,
we're gonna get
I
ourselves
heard,
banned on YouTube.
I heard a random guy say that to somebody. He's like, "Why are you guys so violent?" I think he was talking to Rich. He's
Hmm.
like, "Why are you guys so violent?" And the guy was wearing a Track Day Massacre shirt,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Apex Assassins, Track Day Massacre. All you guys want to do is kill stuff."
And then Rich looks back and is like, "We wear pink, man. What do you want?" uh, all right. Well, that
But
I think.
let me just close with that was week 3. Any of y'all listening? You want to go out and take your shot at the humble pie? They have 7 rounds this year, so that's 4 more rounds. They go. The next one will be in January, and they go all the way through April. So there's still plenty of time to get out there, get signed up, and go check it out. It's definitely worth your time.
Yeah, yeah. Or it's Christmas time. If you're on vacation, you happen to be in the southern San Diego area, or you're taking a vacation to get away for the winter, or whatever it might be, it's worth stopping by. We'll have a link down in the description on both whatever platform you're on. Go to the description of this episode. It'll have a link to CVMA down there. You can click on there, get on their calendar, figure out what weekend you could go support, even if you're not going to go race. Just go hang out with the boys and see what they're all about down there.
Hey,
Thought I
did
had
you have
something else.
MotoGP news? Really?
Just a couple of rumors. You want
Well,
to
let's
you want to
hear 'em.
knock that out first?
Well, when we go to Moto America, I got facts.
Okay, well that's good. I also have facts. Yeah, we're not the rumor spreading, but it's winter. Everything's a rumor at this point. So I just figured I'd kind of put out what's out there, what I've seen this week. That being one, we do know. In fact, America is back in Moto GP, not Moto 2, not Moto 3, Moto GP. Not as you would think, not with riders, but with a team. What that does for us, who knows at this point? I think everyone over here is speculating that's good news, that it's going to open up a more likely spot for an American rider to come up. Who that'll be, who knows? Not going to take any guesses at that.
Well, let me. Can I cut in?
Yeah. Uh huh.
I did listen to, and now you caught me off guard. You caught me off guard with the Track Star stuff because I can't remember who the owner is, what his name is, but I did. I
Pitbull.
did. Hmm?
Pitbull. Is that what you're
No,
talking about?
he's an investor,
Yeah. Okay.
but the actual owner of Trackstar is a former racer himself on cars or with cars.
Okay.
I
Yep.
heard
Yep. Yep.
you find him. You find him.
No, not yet.
Yeah. So I've heard a couple interviews with him over the last couple weeks,
Okay.
and that question keeps getting thrown at him. Do you see an American rider over there? And he's been pretty adamant that they would love nothing more than doing that. But he stopped short of saying it. I don't mean to put words in his mouth, but he kind of stopped short of saying that talent isn't here yet. It isn't there yet. It's not whatever. And he likened it to F1 right now. They're trying to get some Americans moved through the ranks, but it's not a 2-year process or a 1-year process. It might be a 10, 15-year process to try to.
Yeah, we've to put that bluntly, we as a country over here have been falling short when it comes to motorcycle racers. When it comes to world sports in general, arguably, in my opinion. I know
Unfortunately, I would
we like to take our gold medal Olympics. I haven't watched the Olympics in a while. I know we'd like to take some gold medals, but I would say that there are a lot of other areas that we've kind of secluded ourselves to home ground. Been like, no, we got baseball, basketball, football. We're good to go. We always beat ourselves, so that way America never loses, and you guys have fun over there. And NASCAR. Sorry for you NASCAR people. So yeah, it could easily be because you can't just get a. I don't think there's an amount of money in the world or anything like that that can take your top CVMA guy and put him on a MotoGP bike and make him win a championship or make him necessarily ready for that. We had a couple of people go over. Cameron Bobier, I think we've had a couple arguments on the podcast here and in real time about whether or not you put him on the big bike if he would have done better. You know, it's all speculation. Who knows? But if you want to have someone that is competitive, they need to be on those circuits from the start,
Yeah, you need
or
to
at least
start
pretty early on.
cradle snatching. They got to
Yeah.
start getting some babies.
Yeah, I don't know if you should say cradle snatching either, but assassins, killers, massacres, cradle snatching. All right. Anyway, so yeah, the American team. The biggest news that I've seen, the biggest rumor that I've seen with that that I think is kind of exciting, especially for us over here in America, is that team and Dorna would like to put another. This is a rumor. I don't know if this is true or not. Rumor would like to put another race in America. The biggest reason that's still a rumor is no one knows where that would be. I think if anyone could go to Dorna today and be like, "Hey, this spot will work," then Dorna would have probably already done that years ago. Again, that's my opinion. Who knows? Maybe with us having a little bit more buy-in, we've got a team that's American owned now. Who knows? But that is my MotoGP news there. Rumor news. The
I
other
did.
rumor news. What do you got?
I can add to that by saying that some of the name dropping I was doing earlier,
Mm-hmm.
we're discussing that very question, and they didn't have an answer either
Of where?
of where or where they would even think to put one. So
Yeah.
that was a discussion we had. You know, talking about some different tracks and
Yeah, and I mean, we could. I feel like you and I could probably chug up 30 minutes talking about where. I know we've talked about it before. There's two spots we would love to see it. One spot we would super love to see it, and then plenty of other spots that I think we both know are not ready. Might be, maybe one day.
right.
There's a couple tracks in my head that I'm like, if Dorna came in with, a few $1,000,000, like get this ready next year, maybe, yeah, maybe they could do it. But is that worth it to them? Do they want to do that? So yeah, big rumors there. The other big rumor that I think is in keeping with the standard Golden Underwear himself. I don't know if you've noticed this or not, but there have been multiple article drops of interviews with the Ducati guy saying that depending on what happens next year and everything else, two spots are going to open up. Factory Ducati. Mark's already on the table for one of those spots.
Yeah, I've heard some of that stuff from the higher ups. I think Pecco's definitely safe. He has to be.
Yeah, it was unless he just bombs off this year. But even then, yeah,
This year is going to be bonkers, man. There's so many
yeah,
people with contracts up. I think you'll
silly
see
season.
Ducati. I think you'll see Ducati get Pecco signed early, maybe even before the season starts, just to limit that, so they only have to battle with one seat.
Well, and that
And
actually, from a sponsorship, camera time, news time, almost gets them more. If they only have one seat available, then they get to talk about it so
yeah,
much. Because if there's two seats available, then it's kind of like, oh yeah, we know who they're gonna pick. But if there's one seat, it's like they're obviously keeping this open for a reason. Who could it be? And just give them even more camera time. So
yeah,
I just thought it was interesting to see that was a quote out of the mouth of a Ducati team guy saying that He's not necessarily off the table, which, okay, yeah, he could technically say that about any rider, really. So,
That's true.
anyway, that is my MotoGP news wrapped up. What do we got?
All
Moto
right.
America.
Well, let me move into Moto America. So, big news in Moto America this week was Sean Dylan Kelly coming out of Moto 2. He took Cameron Bobier's spot over on the Moto America, or excuse me, the
American Racing.
American Racing,
Yep.
Fresh and Lean, OnlyFans, yada, yada, yada team. Sean Dylan Kelly will be coming back to America to race a superbike. It's a Top Pro Motorsports team.
Sounds new.
It is new. There's some promises that they're bringing like 8 bikes to the grid. Not in that class alone, but
Okay. I was like, wow.
entirely. And guess what?
Hmm.
They will be racing Alpha Racing BMW M1000 RRs in the superbike class. So depending on what happens with Tyler Cycle, which I still can't get my full bearing on,
Yeah.
but it could be the BMW Cup in Moto America.
It
And Gagne.
could. Yeah. But, so that's the thing, though, is you say that, and you're like, yeah, man, if BMW just takes it. But then there's Gagne, who seems to be all but unstoppable at this point.
Well, that's a whole nother tangent, but and I know you can make this excuse, and I'm not making excuses. Gagne deserved the championship, won the championship. Gagne's awesome. Way to go. But Cameron Bobier gave him a run for his money on a BMW, first year sitting on it, and ran into some unfortunate injuries because that was coming. That was going. They were taking punches, man. That was going back and forth.
Yeah. I
Bobier
would.
don't have those injuries, which that's not Gagne's fault. But if Bobier didn't have those injuries, that might have been exciting right down to the end.
But I wouldn't call it a BMW Cup.
No, but there was 2 BMWs on the grid.
Yeah.
And well, there's more than 2 BMWs on the grid. There's the Scheibe Racing BMW, for example. I'm just it's a 2010 or something.
Yeah, I think it's 2016, but yeah.
But
Hey, you know what? They're there. They're keeping it something, so we have
yeah,
something to watch.
yeah, they're
Gotta
there.
love them.
And you add another 2 potentially, not this year, but the new Ducati team that's coming in. They promised to put a superbike on the grid in 2025. So Warhorse might throw 2 on there. Who knows? I mean, you could have 4 Ducatis on the grid and 4 BMWs next year or by 2025, and it's I don't know. It's getting interesting.
Yeah.
But I have to give some. So I hope Tyler Cycle stays in there. Please, Tyler Cycle, stay in there. Bring Bobier back. Put him on your bike. We want that grid full. I mean, we don't want to hear about people falling out. And we've heard some scary things about people falling out and looking for rides and all those kind of things. And unfortunately, we had some more bad news today that I picked up on.
Yep. Yep. I think I know where you're going.
Westby Racing is pulling out of Moto America.
Yep. Effective immediately.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Trig Westby, the owner, has health issues and has been struggling to make it to races. And he has just decided to close down his company. They've had some other hardships and personal hardships in not too distant memory. And he's the sole proprietor of Westby Racing. And he's decided to close it. So they'll be pulling sponsorship. So that puts Matthew Schultz. I don't know what. Hopefully he can find something else to put together because it'd be really unfortunate to not have that team on the grid.
Yeah. No, sorry. I'm just reading his quotes over here. Yeah. It just mentions, one of the toughest decisions he's ever had to make. Gave it a lot of careful thought. Started with his son Dane. Kept it going after his son passed. With the team as an answer, we continued to run the team as an answer to WWDD. What would Dane do? So it sounds like kind of son must have loved motorcycle racing. He obviously loves motorcycle racing. I think you have to sponsor a team. I don't think there's necessarily a ton of money in that unless you're a motorcycle manufacturer. Anyway,
Right.
yeah, that is. I don't know.
That's unfortunate. You know.
It's just tough. It's tough. We're over here trying to. I don't blame. Westby. Don't blame that at all. I get the scenario. It's just tough to see things like that happen because we're over here trying to make sure we keep promoting the sport, get everyone in. We'd love more big sponsors and whatnot. And I'm not just talking us, JKMoto podcast per se, but I think most motorcycle racers in general rather not see it die off. So
yeah, we definitely don't want to see it take a step back. When the last couple of years it's really felt like it's been ramping up. It's early. We'll see what the grid looks like when the time comes around, but
yeah, it is only December. We got some months.
But
so
that's all my Moto America news.
All right. Well, I mean, I could sit here and spit more rumors, but that's all I got. Also, let us know down in the comments what you guys think. If you had to pick one track in America to add to the MotoGP grid, including I don't know if we have any out of country that know any other racetracks. We'll say if you say Laguna Seca, it's not going to happen. But
I
we could talk.
don't even want it to happen. I want a new track.
Yeah, I agree with that. But the Ridge.
I don't think that's MotoGP friendly either.
Oh, not yet. But again, if Dorna came in with the money and just said, "Here you go," then
I didn't mean a facility standpoint. I don't know. That would be the most unique track they race potentially.
Yeah, it definitely would be. It feels a little too small. Almost everywhere I can think of besides UMC, Road Atlanta, but it's too old. It's too. Anyway, like I said, we could chug up 30 minutes doing that, so we won't do that today. But please, if you're still here and you haven't yet, click that subscribe button below. Click the download button on your platform. We're on just about every platform you can be on for a podcast. We're also on YouTube. So if you're done listening, you just got home, just got to work, and you're sitting around wondering what you're doing for the day, not doing anything, check us out on YouTube. Go check out some other videos. Throw a like on the video, and then, let us know. And, one, you CVMA guys, please answer our questions. And then two, what track?
Yeah, what's up, CVMA? Come on. Let's see it. Let's see it in the comments.
Yeah, real showdown. Call them out. So, anyway.
Okay, well, Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. Also, it's Wednesday. Merry Christmas on Monday. Probably still have an episode next week. So, post Christmas, come check us out next Wednesday. We'll be here.
Sounds
you guys
good.
have a happy holiday with your families.
Happy holiday. Thank you.